Hey everybody. This is a bit of a weird not a weird episode, but just a different episode. We last week we recorded a Patreon with our friend Christine Blinn, and we thought it was going to be a fun story about how Frank went to the hospital.
Like one of his usual poo-poo pants
Stories, and we pitched
Yeah.
it the whole episode. Oh, Frank's story to the hospital, and Thursday comes out and you didn't hear it because we feel that episode turned into something a lot more important that we feel a lot more people should hear.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Frank, Katie, do you guys have anything before we go into this?
I just want you guys to listen to this poo-poo pants story and enjoy it as much as we did, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, give it a whirl.
But it's not a poo-poo pants story. This is a real thing.
It's a real story.
It's a real story that
It's
we
an
pulled from
ongoing
Patreon.
saga.
Yeah, we pulled it from Patreon to put here because we feel you should
Yeah.
all need to hear it, not just the people on our
'Cause
Patreon.
It's about me saving people's lives. and
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's
But we
several
promise you,
damsels that were in several types of distress, and I
Yeah.
rescued them.
it's
Couple
a
kittens and
yeah.
some trees.
Several kittens, really.
Yeah.
So enjoy Frank's tale, and we'll see you in a little bit.
We don't need to reclap. Our zoomies are going, but the videos is not.
I'm so mad.
So you should be. I think I proved my point. I think we just changed rule 1 to no more drinking on air.
No.
Unless
I'm
it's
so
a special
good.
day.
I'm
Unless
so
it's a
funny when I'm
unless it's a
drinking.
special day, and we'll call this a special day.
Yeah,
We'll call this a special day.
Friendsgiving.
It's Friendsgiving Part 2 on the goddamn Patreon.
Yeah.
There it is. But we're not here to talk about
I can't believe
Friendsgiving.
you didn't tell me I wasn't recording.
Because
did.
it wasn't my job. It wasn't my job to hit the button this time. And to be fair, you
6
said,
minutes in.
wait a minute, excuse me.
He probably
excuse
loved the
me.
fact that it wasn't recording for a
He
few
fucking
seconds.
loved
No,
it.
he did
Yeah.
not. To be fair, Katie looked at the camera and said, okay, I'm recording, which kind of was a little hint that she might have been recording.
She might have meant that she was recording.
I had to hit like 7. We have to record in so many places.
Fucking chore this
You know?
week.
I feel like I haven't been drunk on this podcast in a minute. And
Well, it's good to have you. It's good to have you back, drunk Katie.
I'm glad to be back.
This is I don't like this combination of you two. Because
doing
she's
anything.
behaving.
I'm just sitting
That's
here.
right. You know what? No, get it.
She's
I'm
sweet baby
not
angel.
I'm not saying anything bad about. I'm saying sometimes when you're around friends, you act a different way.
Like
in
fun.
general, and I
Like
think
fun.
Christine is just an influence on Katie, and it's not Christine's fault. I think
No,
it's
she's
just
got to be
being
like
the
a
aura.
straight man.
She's
This
a straight
is
man
a-
right now.
This is a special night for me because I don't ever do podcasts. So.
Yeah, it's a holiday.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
My
Thank you.
problem is I just haven't eaten more than 1,000 calories
Well,
in
that's
a
because you've
day.
been fucking borderline
So-
shitting your pants for a weekend.
I know, not borderline. I think just there's a lot of shit.
I thought we were done with
A lot
this
of
portion
shitting.
of the conversation.
I love how uncomfortable
Christine's like this
Christine
I'm
is.
no
holiday
longer
sucks.
grateful.
Yeah.
I'm no longer grateful.
It's just like real Thanksgiving. Like you thought it was gonna be fun, and it's not.
Let's talk politics.
We're not going to talk pod. We're talking Frank's hospital visit.
Yeah,
Because
Frank got hospitalized.
Frank got hospitalized, and now we're going
Frank
to talk about it on the Wicked Funny podcast.
I
I'm
see.
smiling way too hard for.
He
when somebody
doesn't. Frank
says,
loves when people tell
Frank.
bad news, so you're fine.
So I will try to make it as not boring as possible.
Oh boy.
So
That's impossible.
backstory, you guys know this, Christina, you probably know this. For about a year, I probably drank about a half a bottle of hard liquor a day.
No, I did
Big
not.
bottles.
Oh,
Big
okay.
bottles.
Okay.
Like
So
a
Christine-
750 ml bottle.
I'll sum it up real quick. Frank's an alcoholic, Christine.
Okay.
Yeah, he is.
Yes.
Okay.
We had an
Uh,
intervention with him with Kirsten.
Wait, like a legitimate intervention?
We had it on the podcast where
Yeah.
she
Okay.
read things that she had written to him.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is
Yeah.
a real. Okay.
It's a real
Yeah.
thing. It's not a bit.
Gotcha.
And it's always gone like it gets better, and then it goes way down, and then it kind of
Yeah.
ramps up again. So it does that whole process.
Like you
Um,
do when you don't stop drinking. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
like an alcoholic would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's called bargaining, Brian.
We
But
know.
anyway,
Yeah,
so
Listen, Frank,
Oh.
I have alcoholics in my family. I understand you. I hear
so
you.
you get it entirely, and
Yeah.
it's a great thing to do.
Go
So
ahead.
We should have started with this, Brian. You cut this off so you could talk about going to your concert.
Hey, that was a great concert.
It's a great time.
head really always was. It felt more like a habit. Like at this time of day, I'm gonna have a drink. But not like my body's like shaking or anything. But then a
Mhm.
couple weeks ago, I actually felt my hands start shaking one night,
Because
and
you didn't have a drink?
yeah, it was like I had worked all day long, and it was like the end of the day. It was probably 5 or 6 o'clock, and I was typing, and I just felt like jitters in my hands. So I was like, "This is a little scary. This means I gotta. It's official now, you know." So
Yeah.
We
I was gonna say I'm
You
gonna,
know, we really just want to know the important parts of your story.
I'm
Can you
guessing
get to the point?
no, Brian.
What work were you doing?
with that, the past maybe month, I've had I'm always groggy in the morning, but I've had a few mornings where I feel like weak, where I can still get up and function, but it's like this isn't normal grogginess. This is like
But
weakness.
so you felt the shaking, and then were you like, did you just have a drink?
Oh yeah. So what happened was
Okay.
I was like, I'm shaking. I wonder if it's like the booze. So I had
Okay.
like a shot, and immediately it was gone. I felt normal.
Oh,
So
and what did you think about that?
well
Good
that
question.
what was your question?
No, I'm just saying. So was that after just 24 hours of not drinking, or was that
Yeah.
like had you stopped for a while, tried
No,
to stop for like
that was like 12 hours probably.
okay,
Oh,
gotcha.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because on my big thing is we've been over this, but like I don't sleep at night. I have trouble sleeping, and I'll get pissed off, and at like 4 or 5 in the morning, I'll have a shot. I'll go back to sleep. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so, but I'm not like waking up to start my
but he
day and
insisted he
drinking.
wasn't an alcoholic.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what? He said that he was on the beginning of this episode. That's a big step.
That is a big step.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean, the physical tremors kind of gave it away.
Mhm.
I'll
Okay.
say
To
that.
yourself, you mean?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
in my head, if I don't have physical symptoms, then I'm just someone who drinks too much,
Okay.
as opposed to an alcoholic.
No, that makes
That's
sense.
fair.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the correct definition, but that's what I thought. But anywho, so the weakness thing in the morning was like every other day maybe, and then yesterday I literally couldn't get up.
Okay.
Like I rolled over to grab my water bottle next to the bed, and I would like pick it up and then like kind of drop it as I tried to like hold it up to take a sip.
Had you had a
And-
lot to drink the night before?
No, because since the tremors I noticed, I probably cut my intake by like half. You
Oh,
know?
so you're going through withdrawals right now.
Yeah.
Maybe. I had been doing a thing where it's like when I feel a little shaky, I'll have a drink. I try to really minimize like fun drinks, you know.
Uh-huh.
But it's probably like a half to a third, probably a half of what it was, you know.
Okay.
So I called Kirsten, and she called my stepmom, who's a nurse, and there's like, yeah, you gotta bring him to the hospital. So, but the embarrassing thing was she had to like help me up out of bed,
Oh my
Oh,
god.
no.
and then she like started putting socks on my feet, and I was like, I can do my own socks. And she's like, your head is like lolling around, like I'm.
Wow. The fucking you need to buy her another fucking diamond just for dealing with you.
I do. So
Like,
I'm like all like woozed out. We get in the car, going to the hospital. Important note here: I forgot to take the normal medication I take in the morning, which is an antidepressant and
Okay.
Adderall. I've taken Adderall for over 10 years. It's not being abused. It's just like a normal amount. But if I just suddenly don't take it, I do get some like it feels like
Yeah, but these are the drugs that a doctor says you should be taking.
yes,
you have an
yes.
actual prescription.
Yeah, it's
for
an actual
those.
prescription.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all you had to
And
say,
I see
Frank.
my psychiatrist. Yeah, but there are slight withdrawals from there that basically feel like it's like in the morning when your joints feel like you have to stretch, except it's all over your body. And if you stretch it doesn't go away. But anyway, I forgot all this because I was all looped out. So we're driving to the
Okay.
hospital, and Kirsten's like holding my hand, and at one point she's like, I passed out for a sec.
Oh
Or,
my
like,
god.
Not 100%, but like I felt my hand like kind of drop away and my head kind of dip, and I heard her go, babe, but it felt far away. And then she went, babe, and like it woke me up again.
That was you dying. You died and came back.
Maybe.
This is such a more interesting story than Brian went to another concert and he made you hold off on this.
Why you got about Christine?
Brian's not happy
you
about
had a
that.
good time at the concert, right? You had a
Had
great time.
at the
I
concert.
believe she said time of her life.
It
She did say
was
time of her life.
one of
If you would have
my
asked, listen, if you would have asked
favorite concerts
anybody
ever.
on the
It's something
street,
unpredictable.
hey,
But in the end,
what do
there's
you want to
Brian.
hear about Frank Gazero's adventure at the hospital or Christine Blynn's having the time of her life. Everybody is picking the Christine story.
But you didn't make it Christine's story. You made it B. Ryan's story.
Well, because B. Ryan was,
B. Ryan.
Okay, so you passed out in the car.
Yeah, but then I was awake in the car. I was just all
Okay.
loosed out. So
How
then we
are
got to the
you
hospital.
feeling while she's driving you?
I was just
He was
feeling
passed
like,
out,
I
I was
Katie.
feeling like if I closed my eyes.
But
I
are
was
you
gonna just-
afraid, or are you like chill
Oh, yeah,
still?
I was a little nervous. I was a little
Yeah.
afraid. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got to the hospital, and the guy's like, "This isn't the right thing. You got to walk like around the block, basically." So
What the fuck?
I was
Yeah.
like,
What a
I'll
process.
make it. It'll be fine." So we go
What a
in.
great hospital.
They put me in a wheelchair, and because
Well, that's what they do to junkies, Christine. They make them
Yeah.
walk around the back.
They
He
make
was
him
like-
prove it.
Kirsten
They're
was
like,
great,
get
though.
back in
She's
the
like,
kitchen
"TV
doorway.
wheelchair."
Yeah.
Door.
You want help?
Yeah.
Prove it to us.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
to drink out of a different water fountain and everything.
It was a whole
And,
thing.
So they put me in a wheelchair. They do all the check-in stuff, and I'm in the waiting room in the wheelchair thing, and I'm just like, I've never been so not self-conscious because like my
Yeah.
head was like rolled back. I was like in and out of sleep. Like my arms kept like hanging dead off the side
Oh
of the
my
wheelchair.
God. I wish I could
I
have
just,
seen this.
it's okay. I don't know. Did we find out if this was because of alcohol withdrawal?
I don't know if it was.
We haven't
still
gotten that
don't
far
know?
yet.
What wound up happening was
He
they
just
go-
got to the hospital, Christine.
Well, they bring me to the first room, and I talked
Did you
to a
survive?
doctor. The doctor's name was Dr. Oz.
Okay.
Wow, like the TV guy?
Wow.
Yeah, and he had this
He
nurse.
must get that
What a
all the
treat.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I almost laughed right in his face because like we're telling him what's up, and he's like, "Well, this sounds a little weird," and his nurse is typing, and then someone's like, "Dr. Oz, can you come here for a second?" And I was like, "Is his fucking name really Dr. Oz?" And she started laughing. She goes, "Yeah." I was like, "That's fun. That's a fun thing," you know.
You're
So-
like, that's fun.
You
I
know-
can't lift my arm.
You know, I remember when I went to the hospital when I was having alcohol withdrawals, and it was Dr. Pickle Smoocher that took care of me. And I thought that was a
Wait.
weird name.
Brian, did you have to go too?
No, Katie, it's
Oh, well, you had your little Coke issue, so I was like,
it was a big Coke issue, Katie.
no, but I thought, you had your little suicide attempt, so I thought maybe you did.
Yeah, and you
Baby
thought the
thing.
guy that cured me was Dr. Pickle Smoocher?
You had your little case of the saddies, so I thought that's what it was. Okay.
Long story short, they put me in this other place where another doctor's going to be there, and I'm in this like room with these curtain dividers, and I'm staring at a guy in front of me who's clearly fucked up, like he's admitted to the hospital.
They put you in the drug part or something?
I think this guy, like, he was asking for pain meds. I think it was something with his abdomen. I think he had
Okay.
surgery or something. I don't know. But he was a big, chubby guy who would just gurgle snore
Ooh.
unendingly. And he had, like, a Forrest Whitaker eye, and
Yeah.
he just was gurgle snoring. And
You know that my friends that
Nurse, I need pain pills for my abdomen. I'm in pain, nurse. I've had surgery. I need my pills. Bring them to me.
God, you sound just like him.
Thank you.
don't tell them. Too much. Too much.
Oh God.
I've had ER friends, like ER nurses, that have told me, and I know this, I guess, from experience too. Like sometimes if you go to the ER and you just like want to get taken care of, you have to fucking make a scene. Like you have to like howl and like, because that's the only way you'll get taken care of in under like 10 hours.
Nobody knows how to make a scene quite like Forrest Whitaker.
Exactly.
No, excuse me. Gary Busey knows how to make
Yeah.
a scene. That's a fucking dude. He
I-
yelled
I
at a
know how to
child
make-
one time.
I can make all scenes if you want to make every single scene work. You know what a scene is?
Oh, don't.
I'm trying to decide which scene I want to use.
Okay. I
don't know, but if you can
SCENE or SEEN.
Somehow make your teeth bigger while you do that.
I wish there was a way to do that. I can't.
Okay.
Forrest guy had a visitor who was either like his mom or an older sister, because he was probably 45 and she was older. And at one point, though, he's
Like
sleeping.
moms are.
She gets a phone call. The ringer's at full blast. It took her 20 minutes to get it out of her purse. And then she's just like screaming into the phone. And I saw the guy lift his head and go, "You're fucking loud." And then he put his head back down. He yelled at her. It was very funny.
You're being
So
very
what's happening
loud.
to you?
So they give me an IV and they took a bunch of blood and they're like, the nurse is very nice. She's like, we'll figure out what's up with you. So I'm just sitting there like dicking around on my phone and I'm watching like the drip thing in the IV. And that's maddening because it's just so slow. So
It
like
is
when
very
people weren't
slow.
looking, I kept reaching up and just squeezing it so it would go faster.
I feel like, wow.
Frank,
Wow.
Which is
I don't
not
think
how
you're supposed to do
Doctors
that.
don't know what they're doing. Doctors
Yeah.
don't know how much to give you.
there's a reason they pace it though.
Have you
Yeah.
seen nurses do it before? Are you sure it was the same liquid? I mean,
Okay.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So what happened?
Look at Frank in bed going, I don't
What
like
are
the
you
way
doing?
this drips. And what are
Yeah.
you doing, Frank?
Such a complainer. Okay.
My cat was getting into my shit and he was going to turn off the buttons,
The
is
cat
what
was
you
gonna
just
stop
said.
the recording.
Came back and the guy's like, the doctor guy's eventually like, all right, so your blood's pretty much okay. You have a one thing that was called like a something gap, like an EN gap or an AN gap or something that
Okay.
was like slightly elevated. He's like, and you have a little bit, you have like low blood sugar.
You got a
pretty
booty
much.
gap.
Oh.
He said it was like a low blood sugar thing. He's like, are you eating? And I'm like, yeah, like I have an appetite. Like I eat pretty much normal.
Yeah, did you tell him about the goat head that you make?
No, but I told him all about the drinking and
Good.
like,
that was good,
But
Frank.
you know what? Actually, alcohol does have a lot of sugar in it. So if you were trying to cut back, maybe your body was freaking out.
Yeah, that's
something?
true, Katie. That's very good.
something like that is what he kind of like figured. So he's like, all right, have you eaten today? Because I started to feel shitty, and then the no Adderall feeling started to kick in.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, my hands started to get shaky because I hadn't drank all day. Right.
Wow.
So
what time of day is it? How long have you been there?
I got there at like 12.
Oh, because Frank's morning, Christine.
I was gonna say
Frank's morning starts at like 12:30.
Well,
I
Frank
woke
is
up at
falling
the
asleep
crack
at
of noon and made an omelet.
Exactly. Okay.
Wow, I brought you real shit, not
Yeah.
just stupid
Wow.
fucking cookies.
They brought your
and
fucking
shit.
charcuterie board.
Yeah, look at you living.
Nurse, I believe that was my charcuterie board.
He said he found it in the fridge and it was like labeled and he just microwaved it for me. But
Okay.
That's nice.
At all this
It was
time,
labeled Susan's lunch.
Yeah, poor Susan. I
Fuck her.
forgot. So I was definitely experiencing alcohol withdrawal, but I think that was mostly just the tremoriness.
Okay.
I think the other stuff
Get
had to
that
do with
Kevin Bacon.
Adderall, and it didn't register. So what I forgot about it. So what I'm describing to this guy, I think, is way more severe withdrawal symptoms than like it really might have been. So, but basically, I ate. Then he's like, "All right, we're gonna give you another bag of stuff. We're gonna shoot you full of glucose." And which the nurse with the glucose tube, Katie, have you seen one of those?
No.
A glucose tube?
So it's like a syringe that's like an inch thick, right?
It looks like
thick. I
a
know
Jello
that-
shot.
yeah.
Is it a
And
Jello shot?
It's 50% dextrose, which is just powdered sugar, and water. So it's like
Wow.
it's like simple syrup at a bar. And she's like trying to squeeze
And
it
she
into
put
the
it
IV.
in your IV?
Yeah.
But it
And,
didn't go through because some asshole already squeezed the bag.
No shit, it was full of saline.
No, it was a different thing. It worked out great though. I felt better right away. And then
Okay.
pretty much, I think that's.
But
pretty
did
much...
you talk to them about why your sugar would be dropping every morning? Because did you tell them you've been having those symptoms consistently?
He basically said like, I think there was something complicated. I don't remember about like. He's like, you're basically drinking alcohol in excess, and
That's what I
that's
was gonna say.
fucking with the way your
Yeah.
body is processing carbohydrates, which
Thank
makes your
you.
sugar all fucked up.
That's literally what I was gonna say because
Yeah.
I was drinking a lot, probably similar amounts to Frank, but in like a classier way. You know what I mean? So like,
You're gonna have to explain that, Miss. What
Yeah.
do
You
you
mean,
mean by
you
that?
mean not out of it? You mean, yeah, she did it while not drinking out of
Yeah.
a deli container.
like truly, I wouldn't chug. Like I would have like 20 drinks, and I'm not exaggerating. Like actually, like 20 drinks. But instead of drinking them out of a deli container, taking shots to go to bed, I would be like, oh, I went to the gym and I worked out really, really hard. And then I had 4 beers at the restaurant where we ate.
The next morning
And
you go
then-
to brunch.
No,
and
next
all that shit.
morning, no. Then we would move to another bar, and I would have 3 glasses of wine. I would have 4 shots, and then I'd have 2 beers. Like I would add up my drinks. but my sugar would drop like that where I would feel those symptoms, but you're doing it, and I probably only did that like 5 nights a week or something, but yeah, and you do it like every day.
Basically said I got into like a mild like ketoacidosis situation.
Yeah.
So he's like, it's as if you're doing the keto diet, which he goes, by the way, you shouldn't do. It's not good for you, but it's as if you were doing that badly.
Okay.
So.
But so what is your plan?
So I talked to him a lot about how to properly taper down, because depending on, he told me, he's like, I don't think you're so bad where you're going to have like a seizure or something like that. He's like,
okay, but that's just your body.
Yeah.
How are you feeling like the
mentally and
thank
emotionally?
you.
Yeah, are you going to quit alcohol, Frank, is what we're
Yeah.
trying to get
basically, my goal is to get down to 0 safely. And that is what the doctor said to do. He's like,
did he say if you stopped immediately you'd have a problem?
Yes. He was
okay.
He was like, I was like, how do you properly taper down? And he's like, if you do it like outpatient, like where you're just at home, you have to do it super slowly. And he's like,
so your body's dependent at this point, according to the doctor.
Yes, but my theory, not that it matters, is I think it's just like I'm gonna get those tremors. You know what I mean? So he's basically like, the idea is you drink just enough to keep yourself on the verge of a withdrawal symptom. So like, if your hands
but
start
you're
to shake,
gonna eventually have a withdrawal syndrome because you're eventually gonna go to 0.
But so he was like, so what you were doing with like the shots when you felt a tremor.
like basically like if my hands start to shake,
just take a shot.
Have a shot, or really ideally something like a beer, because there's less alcohol than in a shot.
Okay, that makes
or something like that. So he's like, and you just gotta monitor it and be very careful and do that. But
have you thought about
he's
just
like, don't go
going
cold turkey alone.
Have you thought about going to a clinic to stop cold turkey? The thing is,
because it is the Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah, and the turkey's getting cold.
Well, because physically,
it's got to happen at one point during this episode. We're just talking about Frank withdrawals and hanging on the verge, and only when I'm shaking do I drink.
This is a comedy podcast, right?
Yeah. Welcome to the Wicked Funny Podcast.
Honestly, Christine, it's a mental health podcast now.
I'm good with that. That's fine.
I tried to liven it up with Forrest Whitaker.
No, Christine's like, have me back for the mental health episode. No, so the thing is, Frank, like physically, your body probably would be better tapering, but you have like, there's a mental aspect to alcoholism that I think a lot of people do better with cold turkey, because tapering sounds a lot like bargaining, sounds a lot like negotiating different aspects of alcoholism.
But if he's doing it as a doctor prescribed,
but he's
just
not.
To keep the
his doctor's
away.
just like, do it this as a
and Frank, I don't.
Christine, he has
I love you, Frank, but I don't think you have the ability to taper.
You don't. You've tapered. He's tapered since I've known him. Since I've been on this podcast, Frank has tapered a minimum 4 times.
Yeah, maybe you don't have the capability.
Yeah, but this was like a real thing. Dude, you had to go walk around the back of the hospital where they send the crackheads, and then you sat in a chair.
Do you really
then you had to sit in a chair limp while your body's fucking going all over the place while Forrest Whitaker's demanding pain pills next door. Is this what you want, Frank?
If we go back and listen to episodes, Frank, you've quote unquote weaned yourself down at least 4 times.
Frank, if you listen to this podcast, and I suggest you do one day,
but like if
you should give it a try. It's fun. It's fun. Share it with your friends.
Heard it, but it is.
Share with your friends.
Katie's totally right. There are 2 things about that. In the past, it's basically just been Frank needs to cut down. And even if I took a whole day off, I never once had a physical symptom. So when I actually had like a physical symptom, that honestly scared me.
It did.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, this is he's actually having physical reactions now. So like before, like it's like we all want to be like, oh, I want to stop, but then behaviorally we get back in it. But you actually now have had a real health scare where you have a legitimate. My dad was like that. Like my dad needed, he was like, oh, I can stop anytime. So tapering wasn't.
Yeah, and for a long time, I could have technically stopped any time.
Yeah, but you didn't have a real. And once my dad got that real reason to, he was able to do it.
And it was like a physical reason?
Yeah,
Like,
physical reason. His health is getting a little bit better, but yeah.
Because the thing is, Frank has had the reason of Kirsten has begged you to stop. You shit yourself regularly. Yeah, for sure.
See, and this is another thing you do. You get very defensive. And it's
He's
circle
being good
talk.
right now.
It's a reoccurring. I feel like we've had this conversation 100 times.
We certainly have. We have this conversation around.
I hope
this
this is the last time we need to have it, Frank. That's all. I don't care about having this conversation 100 times. I want this to be the last time that we have it.
I do too. So I talked to the doctor, and he's like, "I'll give you a bunch of info, and I'm going to refer you to." I don't know. It's like
it's so hard to be funny during this. It really is.
I'm
it's
sorry.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm glad you're sharing. Honestly, Frank, this is an important episode, even though I'm drunk for it, which I love.
Yeah. Katie's drunk. I'm high, and we're having the intervention for you.
The intervention one.
Yeah.
To give you an idea how serious I'm feeling about it. My doctor was like, he's an emergency room doctor. He's like,
yeah,
look, I deal with this, but I'm not like an expert in it. He goes, so I'm going to refer you to this other, like a drug abuse place.
Okay,
and they actually called me today. I happen to miss a call. I'm going to call them tomorrow, but I'm going to talk to them.
Did you miss a call?
Bitch, I'm getting your phone number and I'm fucking calling you.
Christine. You know,
it was because I was like, I don't recognize this number.
Buckle
I'm
up
not
for some heartbreak because Brian and I have heard this how many times?
I will
at least seven.
Video
at
chat
least
with
7
you
times
tomorrow if you want when I call them.
Yes, do that.
Because I ignored the number because I didn't recognize it, and that part of me was
you were like, "Oh, I'm not expecting a phone."
Watch what I'm gonna do. This is I'm a good friend.
Right then.
Remind me tomorrow at 10 a.m. to call Frank and remind him to call that drug fucking place.
Realistically, though, when has a doctor said they're gonna refer you and you get a call the next day?
Oh, I've been trying to get my fucking ADHD test for 9 weeks.
You still haven't gotten that yet?
No, and I called last week and I was like, this fucking doctor has not done it yet. And the lady goes, oh, I'll put it in as urgent. And I've been waiting a whole other week and they still have not called me. So I was like,
yeah, I think
I'm gonna call it tomorrow and be like, just ask another provider to do this.
I think you need to write them a stern letter.
Honestly, yeah, I will.
Yeah, so they sent me home and I have
Frank,
all this information, all this packet of stuff.
But mentally, how are you feeling? Like, okay, first of all, how's Kirsten? Like, what did she say?
Kirsten's been crazily supportive. She also, when I was in the hospital, she was like, I'm calling everybody that you know that's close to you and telling them everything because everyone needs to. Because for a long time, my dad was an alcoholic, or I guess technically still is, but he's been sober for like 30 years.
Oh.
But I didn't want to freak him out, so I didn't want to talk to my dad, but she called my dad.
So hiding behaviors.
You know what though? She's right, because you need people who are going to hold you accountable. You can't hide in this and then be around people and be like, well, I'll just have one drink, and they don't know what you're going through. So she did the
Okay. But what did you say? Okay, and you were just like, I've been drinking a lot of alcohol the whole time or something? So do you feel like, so you're tapering, but the goal is you think you're going to be sober?
Yeah.
Do you have a time frame?
Well, that's the thing. I need to call the place to find out how to do that.
Yeah, this is down the road stuff. This is listen, here's the deal. We're up to this point right now. All right? And we're at the end, and let's cut it off here. And the next time we talk about this, it's going to be all the stuff that Frank has done from this point to better himself.
Yeah, that works. But yes, there has to be like an end date. I do know that.
So that's it. This is a to be continued.
Yeah.
Frank is an alcoholic episode.
Yeah. And real quick,
the amount that you drink and like the multiple attempts to try to stop, to me, I'm like, you should just go to a center.
If this doesn't work, then yes, that is the next step. Yeah. The thought of going to a place kind of makes
scary,
is horrifying and terrifying to me. But I'm gonna call. I just need to figure out, like, is it when I have a little feeling, I have a little drink, or is it like I need to do it every number of hours?
Brian and I can tell you. Oh, I thought you meant like what your triggers are. I'm like, Brian and I fucking know. Like, we know your triggers that well. You know what I mean? Yeah. I thought you meant like what triggers you
thing,
to
or
drink.
I read something else. It's like you should just have like a little every few hours, but that seems like too much. Like I haven't had anything at all today, and I feel completely fine.
I would say go as long as you can without it. Yeah.
And ask them about getting, like, making sure you have a therapist too, even if you don't do like a group meeting, but a therapist. Okay, good. Are they like a behavioral addiction therapist? Because it's a very
that's a good point.
specific thing. And
You should
I
see
would
what their
say
specialties are.
have them say, listen, I know you're a psychiatrist and that's great, but here's what I'm dealing with. I need somebody with a specialty. Because I went to therapy I tried another woman for my eating disorder, and she was just like, no, you really need, this is a specified thing. There are people who specify in this and can help you with, the mental struggle with, it's not just a physical struggle. It's going to be a mental struggle too. So that's another thing that you need to, that's on your list. You need to secure that. Make sure you ask, because that's going to be really important. And it's got to be an addiction, somebody who specializes in addiction, because they'll be the ones who. You know what? Get him on
Dr.
the goddamn
Dupinski,
phone. Tell him you
Dr.
want Dr.
Oz,
Drew
Dr.
himself.
Phil.
So, Frank,
I was really like,
You
I don't
can
want
call
anyone named
Dr.
Dr.
Willem
Oz.
Dafoe if you
Anyone
want,
named-
Frank. Call Dr. Willem Dafoe. I'll fix you up right away with I'll get you right off that alcohol, Frank.
Have you been honest with your therapist thus far? Because I know some people that
He's a lying sack of shit, Katie.
Well, no, I know people that have like an epic trauma in their life and they go to a therapist because they want the relief, but they literally will talk about everything except that one thing.
And I will tell you right now, I am that motherfucker.
I know
I'll say
you
that
are.
right.
You're
You know
one of
I
my
am.
friends.
You know I am.
I wasn't gonna out you, but you're one of them.
Out
but
me.
you're
I'm that
just,
motherfucker. I'm that bitch. Always be that bitch. That's what I say.
Yeah, but babe, you are one of like a list.
and
like I know a lot of people.
And make a note that Katie just called me babe. You know what? That was worth going long just to hear that, babe. All right, sweetie. You ready to wrap up? Let's tell everybody. Look, if you're having problems, if you think you need help, get help. You know, I mean, like that's what Frank's doing. That's what I've done. We've all done it.
Show notes.
You know, yeah. It just and this is good, and I can't wait to see
Frank,
what happens 3 months down the road.
But I'm grateful that you're sharing this with us. I know we've talked about Frank's alcoholism for the entire length of the podcast, I would say. This is probably the most, I'm a cynic, so I'm already like, he's not going to follow through with this. But this, I do feel like normally when we talk about it, I give you like an 8% chance of following through with it. I think right now I'm like 23%, you know? Yeah. Yeah. No, so yeah, I feel like you look a little scared.
Yeah.
I think having physical
and
symptoms.
Katie, I got this calendar, and what we'll do is we'll all pick a date later, and when Frank will fall off the wagon.
Okay.
We'll have a little fall off the wagon pool.
We need a pool of when he gets on the wagon. Like he's not even on the wagon.
Yeah, let's figure out that
Yeah.
We could do it on a positive way, though. Like, all right, can he beat his taper? How many days early do you think he can beat his taper?
I mean, if not, we'll definitely keep talking about it. But I think it's good that you're sharing it because people, I think they do. It's real life, and you have a job. This is the thing: is like a lot of people picture an alcoholic, and they picture someone who drives around and fucking murders people with their car and
living
stumbles,
on the street,
exactly,
doesn't have a job,
stumbles everywhere, like stinks and like whatever.
No,
Frank,
functioning alcoholic.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
Like, I don't really get drunk anymore. Like when you guys can probably see I've had a few drinks, that's like me just like a little bit buzzing.
Normal, yeah.
You know, like I don't get like drunk.
Yeah.
So
which is a problem.
Yeah.
But I feel like I think it's good to share this because you're able to maintain a healthy marriage. Like you and Kirsten communicate with each other really well. You have friends. You keep your job. You keep this podcast, even though you do like minimal effort for it. But like you do keep this podcast going.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for people to see that being a quote unquote alcoholic doesn't mean like your whole life is in shambles, but
You
it
just
does
have to
mean
be
that you're
really good
struggling with
at it if
something.
you're going to do it.
Yeah, you have to be like a pro.
You got to be a multitasker.
Fucking professional.
Yeah.
I am sad that this might mean I've always had a dream of like an Indiana Jones in a bar drinking contest with somebody for some important reason. Because I'd be like, I'd fucking kill it.
I thought
Brian.
I thought so too.
Yeah,
Brian froze. He'll pop back in a second.
Okay.
Probably.
Should we just end it? Or
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if not, we'll just end it.
Okay.
But Frank, I'm glad that you're sharing this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I feel like I had my own little alcohol problems. I had physical issues, but not to the same level as yours. But so I think it's good to share that.
It's absolutely good to share it.
I'm glad that you shared it, and thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
Not,
Thank
you know,
you.
not
I
because
honestly
you had to
am
go to the
too.
hospital, but you know.
I'm excited that you lost feeling in your hands a little, you know.
But you need
It was
need
my
that
body.
shit,
I
man.
was like,
That's
ugh,
fucking
yeah.
that's fucking scary.
Yeah.
And you know, who knows how worse it could have been.
Yeah,
And
even when they
maybe that was the thing you needed to kick your ass in gear.
it
you
might
know?
be when the nurse came to get me in the waiting room and she was wheeling me wherever. I said, I think I might pass out, and she was like, "You did pass out." I
Oh
said,
my god.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Low
right.
blood sugar.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. You
You're
guys,
welcome.
thank you for
being
subscribing.
encouraging.
There he is.
Oh.
Hey, he's back. Wait, but we're just ending it now.
We were ending it without you.
Oh Christ.
It's
It'll be
okay. Wait,
fine.
you stopped the Zoom recording?
You
then
you
that's fine.
talked
Don't
it
worry
done.
about it then.
We'll tell Larry, cut out whatever Brian said because we had a nice chat.
Yeah. And thank you guys for being so kind and supportive.
Yeah, thank you for honestly, truly, thank you for sharing it with us. Like,
well, that was it. That was the story of Frank's hospital visit and everything else that we talked about. If you do want to see a Patreon here, the Patreon episode that we did do, we guarantee you it's a banger. We replaced it with a banger.
We did. I don't remember what it was.
We're gonna record that,
but
next.
it bangs.
but it bangs. I promise it's gonna bang.
It will if it doesn't already.
Yeah. But it's been about a week since we recorded Frank's hospital visit. It's actually been a week since he was in the hospital. So Frank, within that week, can you give us like a really quick update about how you converted to sobriety?
Yes. So I Monday and like early Tuesday, I kind of just tried to do what the doctor suggested, which is if I feel like a withdrawal symptom, if I get a little shaky, and it's not like physically, I was never physically shaking, but it's like an inside feeling, have just enough to make it go away.
Which did you? And I think Brian and I have the same question. How much alcohol are you finding that it takes to get rid of the shakes?
So what I did was I got a bunch of nips because I figured that would be an easy way to like measure it.
Okay.
Measure how much. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah, and I think a nip is like 1.7 ounces. So like Monday and Tuesday, I would pretty much, if I felt it, I just had a nip. And I really, it only happened twice each day. It was at like around dinner time and then like in the middle of the night.
And you would have how many nips?
Just
like
one.
One? Okay.
Yeah, and then I would go away. And then a couple nights, I do struggle sleeping. So like at 4 or 5 in the morning, I still haven't fallen asleep. I was like, fuck it. And I had a couple more to go back to sleep. But that's still like a quarter of what I was drinking. Tuesday, I talked to my psychiatrist and she was like, all right, a detox program would be ideal, but it sounds like you're kind of okay tapering so far. You're not, because she was concerned. Apparently, alcohol withdrawal can kill you if you do it wrong. So she's like,
and especially with the alcohol, you were doing hard alcohol. It's not like Frank was. It's not like Frank was drinking a 6-pack or a couple beers.
Yeah.
Frank was drinking
alcohol,
like hard alcohol. Yeah,
I was thinking like a half to 2/3 of a bottle a night.
Yeah.
So she was basically like, it's one of the most dangerous things to come off of. So if you're going to taper, she gave me rules where it's basically like, if you get that little inside jittery feeling like you described, have just barely enough. But if you have anything else whatsoever, you have to rush to the ER. So she's like, if your heart starts racing, if you get dizzy, anything like that.
So how often have you felt the shakes? Have they come on more than you anticipated? Less? How's it been?
Way less. So Wednesday, it was even less. It was like around 6 o'clock again, and then like around 2 a.m. But the 2 a.m. one was like very, very mild. And then
are you awake and then you feel it, or you woke up because you felt it?
I was already awake.
Okay.
Yeah. And what's today? Today is
Saturday.
So it was pretty much like that Thursday. And then yesterday, like, but really though, every day this week, I felt better than I felt in like 3 years. I felt like $1 million. And yesterday, I didn't have a single withdrawal symptom at all. Yesterday was yesterday and last night are the first days and nights in years that I didn't have a single drink.
That's great. Congratulations, Frank.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're finally doing this.
And I feel very good. I honestly kind of feel like I've been kind of R-worded for the past few years, because this week I felt like this is how my brain used to work.
Oh, Frank, you're still R-worded. You're still R-worded.
But I'm thinking more clearly,
like a different version, like a different version of R-worded.
I'm processing information better, and I'm remembering things, and it's not like I don't feel sluggish,
so
even though I'm not sleeping very well.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. So in the past, did you feel like you were just like, being cloudy is just my baseline now? Like you don't even recognize that you feel cloudy until now you feel good?
Yeah, and I assumed the cloudiness was mostly from the lack of sleep. But it was really from the booze. Because this week
you didn't factor in the booze into the cloudiness.
Not really, unless I felt hungover. But like this week, I slept like dog shit,
like a true alcoholic.
But the cutting way down and then not drinking, I felt like $1 million. So.
Well, that's great, man.
Yeah,
that's great, okay. And I'm glad that you have a tendency to fall back if things aren't going well, and I'm glad that you fought. I'm glad that you fought through it, and only had a couple nips when you needed it, as prescribed by the doctor, which is odd. But
yeah, and the nice thing was there was a weird switch because like I love everything about whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
The smell of it, the taste, I like how it burns, I like everything. And for some reason, like even like when it would touch my tongue, I would have like a gag reflex.
Good. That's good.
Yeah, but really it's like Kirsten was incredibly supportive, and all week long I was getting calls from people and people checking in, and it meant a lot to me and it helped a lot.
So have you told a lot of people? Because as far as our podcast people, no one knows right now. So like in your until today, in your personal life, have you been telling a lot of people?
Yeah, close friends. Yeah. If they're like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I went to the hospital."
Pretty shitty.
Pretty shitty. I was in the hospital and I have the shits.
Yeah.
And they're like,
I'm an alcoholic.
I wanted to talk about me.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this. Have you said that you were an alcoholic without immediately making a joke after?
Yeah.
You did?
You have?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was funny. My dad has been sober like 30-something years, and he was in AA for 1 million years, and I don't think he goes to AA anymore, but he's still sober. And I was like, I don't know how you define an alcoholic. I just assumed it meant you're physically addicted to something, kind of like you're a heroin addict when you're addicted to heroin. You wouldn't be called an addict if you just used it once and weren't addicted, But he was kind of like, there's not like a strict definition when it comes to like how you define yourself. You just got to figure it out for yourself if you are or not,
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I am.
Because I think some people think, I think there's like different.
I'm sorry. He still can't do it. You said you're pretty sure you are.
No,
Yeah.
In my definition in my head, I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am a functional alcoholic.
Yeah. I think the thing is when it comes to like quote unquote recovery or just needing to stop, I feel like some people get hung up on the physical aspect, like you're talking about, Frank, where they're like, well, I'm not physically dependent on it, but you could be socially dependent on it. You could be emotionally dependent on it.
Exactly.
You could be like spiritually dependent on it, where you're just like, oh, I feel like I'm in an abyss, so I drink a lot of alcohol so I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
Or I'm sad, I just drink so I don't feel that. Or I'm anxious about going to a party, so I have to get drunk at that party. That's still a dependence. It's just like, okay, your body doesn't shake, but your whole brain's fucking buzzing until you drink.
Yeah. And that was kind of my dad's point. He's like, you got to just, he's like, you got to just try to stop and see what happens and see how you feel about it.
I think that's going to be your next big hurdle. And I think down the road when we check in, I think that's what we're going to talk about is how you'll adapt to going out and being around people when you're drinking. You know, the other night I asked you about a show and you were like, nah, I just don't want, I'm not ready to be around alcohol yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was partially that and partially a fear of not being around it because I was also like, because that was Wednesday, I think.
Yeah.
And I was like, because the doctors really were like, when you have a withdrawal symptom, you need to have a drink right away. Because I guess for different people, it progresses differently. So some people get a little bit like shaky and then they get actual like tremors where they're
like
physically shaking like just a little while later. And then like, so I just was like, I need to make sure I can grab a drink if I need it. Cause I don't want to like, I don't know, get a head rush, get dizzy. Like I think Wednesday afternoon, I felt a little jittery and I let it go for like a half an hour. And then I did get like dizzy and lightheaded. So then I went and had a drink. So I just didn't want to be in a situation where I couldn't get one and then pass out or I don't know what would happen, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so do you, in your mind right now, are you at a place where you're like, okay, the goal is to stop drinking forever? Or are you imagining that at some point you would like taper back up to like social use or something like that?
I don't have any desire to drink again.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if like years and years from now, I might reach a point in my life where I can have a beer and be a normal person.
I did that, Frank. I quit drinking for 10 years. I didn't have a drink for about 10 years. So, you know, and I was at a point where I was drinking a bunch. I mean, you guys know how much I drink now, and it's not a problem, you know. And it's not. I mean, it's not the consistency that I drink. It's just when I drink, Brian Bowden's drinking, he's getting loose.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, we're also talking 10 years down the road, but I'm glad that right now your plan is no plans.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been something.
It's very uplifting.
It is uplifting.
Do you guys my experience,
I know this will help people that have listened to us. People that listen to us will hear this and relate to it. And I know that this episode will help somebody, regardless.
But I think the real moral of the story here, though, is I am super good at being a functional alcoholic, and I'm super good at recovering from being a functional alcoholic.
No.
Like, Frank, I should be a white belt, but I feel like I'm like already in recovery, like a at least a yellow belt.
I don't think you were. No, I don't think you were as good as a functioning alcoholic as you are good at hiding it.
Yeah.
That's probably fair. But I make myself look functional.
I don't know, Frank.
Fake it till you make it, man.
When we've had to do something before like 11 a.m., you're like, I don't know.
I don't know. I can't do it. I can't go to the gym. I have been Frank's #1 fucking supporter through all of his goddamn.
Are you fighting Kirsten for the role of #1 supporter?
I think I am. She didn't go to the gym with Frank. Well,
she was working. Also, yes, because I'm not drinking at night to sleep.
Yeah.
If it's like 6 or 7 a.m. and I've been up for a couple hours and I realize you hit that point where like I'm not getting back to sleep, I'm like, well, I guess I'll just get up, you know, and it sucks.
Yeah.
But I still feel fine during the day. Yesterday I got up at like 6 or 7 and today I got up at 5.
Like a normal person.
You're a functioning sober person. Look at you. You're functioning, Frank.
Now you're evolving into a functioning member of society.
I know. I can't wait for him to do one of the things he said he's going to do for the podcast. I can't wait.
He got a webcam.
He did get a webcam.
He literally already did.
He really this is a huge step. Like this is Frank. I think this speaks to how bad your alcoholism is. To where when you get a webcam, Katie and me are genuinely like excited. Like, oh my God, Katie's going, look at Frank, he looks so good. And Frank's turning on lights in his fucking house. He's like, how does this look? How does this look? And Katie's like, oh, it doesn't matter, Frank. We can work on the light another day. I'm just so happy I can see you, Frank. You look so good. That was
I think,
fucking before we recorded.
Okay,
and then we
maybe,
recorded this like Frank's an alcoholic.
Maybe I'm Frank's biggest supporter then, Brian, because
Maybe.
I'm
No,
such
you're
a
his biggest
all
cheerleader.
series.
You're a cheerleader. You root him on, but I'm in the trenches with this
You're in
motherfucker.
there.
I
I'm
do
in
think
there.
a light here would balance it all out. Though.
You know what? It might,
Yeah,
Frank. You
that's-
could
it
go to the
would. Get
dollar
another
store.
light.
Get that.
Because
Get
this
Get
side of
another
my
light.
face is a little on the dark side.
But yeah, if you get 2 more lights from Amazon, you guys, this is a little update of our podcast journey. We are starting to put the episodes up on YouTube, and if you guys go check this video out in YouTube or on YouTube, Frank's camera situation is the old camera situation on the footage that's going to be right in between what you just heard previously.
Yeah, you know what it's gonna be? It's gonna be like this whole thing is a metaphor. Yeah, it's Frank blurry, and then he gets sober, and he's crystal clear at the end of the episode.
His skin looks like all one color. Like he's just like he's got smooth skin. He has like a nice.
He's drinking out of a real cup. Look at him. He has a real cup and a real can. He has a real can of Polar Seltzer.
I'm not giving up the deli containers.
You don't have for Frank. You're not using it right now, and it's not full with alcohol. And you trying to justify it with, oh no, it's a couple fingers length. It holds it. It keeps it fucking warm.
You're
whatever
drinking
the fuck
like
it is.
whiskey out of a shoe, and you're like, I counted the number of laces that I was at, and it's good. I'm fine.
Well, what happens is the alcohol mixes with the sweat in your feet, and it gives it a saltier taste when you drink it.
Which is better for your body.
Which is better for your body because it makes you want to eat crackers, which absorbs the alcohol. I don't have a problem.
I'm a little bummed because
I'll get you that spreadsheet right away.
Right before all this happened,
it took years to get a fucking basic fucking website.
It did.
The webcam.
The webcam, though, Frank. Oh man, the sky's the limit.
He's been talking about a webcam. This is where Frank's like, I think I've been really good at functioning, and me and Brian are like, you've been working up to getting a webcam for 4 months, minimum 4 months.
Oh,
really 2 years.
Kirsten said the same thing. I was like, I feel like I was like functional, and like today I was like, I don't think I feel like I've been kind of stupid for a long time.
What did Kirsten say about
She was
this?
like, yeah, you've been a little slow.
Yeah. If I don't get a fucking bomb ass Christmas gift for this, it was all for nothing.
I'm bummed though, because right before all this happened, I was gonna buy a still and start distilling stuff.
Oh boy!
To make my own like stuff.
Hey, you know what, Frank? It can get to the point where you can be like Sam Malone in Cheers. Remember Sam Malone? He was an alcoholic but bought Cheers. Remember that?
Yeah.
No, and I don't think that would be a wise idea.
I'm talking years down the road.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Also, if you went out and like researched how to distill liquor and bought all the equipment for it and set it up and distilled liquor and then still didn't have a webcam for the podcast that you've been on for 2 years, we would murder you.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
Yeah. I mean, set aside the fact that he spent how much money on that computer just to play Overwatch?
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent
a significant amount.
About so far
thousands. It's
about $2,500 on a computer that's super powerful, so that I can play a 5-year-old game that was designed to work on low power computers.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense, but now I can play anything on it.
I want you guys to know. Like,
Frank's gonna use his $2,500 computer to play fucking solitaire and Minesweeper.
That's fine, whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
That's a good fill the void, right? Replace a negative with a positive.
Yeah, and I might start doing jujitsu again.
Whoa!
Yeah, give use for that gi.
Are you?
It won't fit me anymore.
Are you gonna go to any meetings or anything?
I wasn't gonna. No. I was gonna get. I want to get a referral to a therapist who specializes in addiction. Like Kristen recommended.
Yeah.
Kristen Blinn. And my therapist said she would find somebody for me.
That's good.
Like that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And I have big news too. In 2 weeks or 1.5 weeks, I am finally have an appointment with a therapist to get an ADHD test.
All right. Wow.
Yes. And
Look
I only
at
had
us.
to yell at my doctor or the nurse for my doctor 3 times. And the last time I said, I would like you to refer this job to another doctor. And she goes, what? You want to switch doctors? And I go, I want you to contact any professional that works in your building who you think is capable of walking down the hall to talk to the therapist that I know is in the same building, and ask that therapist to please call me for a fucking referral. And she goes, oh, okay. And she goes, someone will call you by the end of the day. And I go, if they don't, you will hear from me one more time.
Wow.
Fantastic.
So mad.
That's awesome. So remember, the key is it's interfering with your work and your ability to do life.
Yes. No, I know. I mean,
That's
honestly,
the theme.
Yeah. And it's not even a lie. Like, I just looking at it from that point of view, I wrote down like 10 examples from once you said that. I was like, oh yeah, look at it. There's this and this. So
Print out a questionnaire, bring in and fill it out and bring that in.
This is going to be great. I can't wait to hear about Katie's ADHD test and results.
Man,
so that's going to be coming up. Right? Other episodes coming up. James and the Giant Peach is going to be an upcoming episode.
We got a Patreon sub. You guys, we if you're not familiar with our Patreon page, we have 3 levels of Patreon subscriptions, and one of the tiers is Frank, where you're just basically like a functioning alcoholic. You do the bare minimum.
You get the extra episode every week,
and they're really fun. You get to join our games, like our football pool, our March Madness pool. It's coming up in a couple months. And the Katie level is a little bit over the top, just like me. You get a handwritten letter from me, and I've already sent a few out.
Honestly,
and they're fucking great.
And I write like real paragraphs in there. I like can't stop.
For some reason, I know it's a handwritten letter, right?
Yeah.
But when I heard the word hand, my brain just filled in job. I thought you were going to be like, you get one
hand job from Katie.
Well, now that Frank's functioning, I think he should do it. He should do the hand jobs.
We'll add that to the Frank level.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll get a hand job.
All right.
But we have a $20 tier that you get to choose the movie that Brian rewrites. And Brian, I'll be honest, you guys, he was like freaking out about this tier because he was like, what if the person who buys it gets a shitty movie? Or what if they're like, and it sucks and it can't be this kind of movie or this kind of movie? And I'm like, let's just let them like see what they say.
It's good if it's a bad movie.
Well,
no, I'm talking about like a comedy. Like I can't rewrite Tommy Boy because it's already funny, you know. But
we had someone subscribe, Nick.
Nick subscribed.
Shout out to Nick.
He came to one of our live shows at we were at Boneheads Live, and that's how he met us. And he chose James and the Giant Peach, and which is one of the I remember they made it a book. And
okay, you guys, first of all, Brian goes like this. I go, first of all, I said, hey, I'm going to reach out to Nick and find out what movie he wants to have you write. And Nick's like, I want Brian to write James and the Giant Peach. And I text Brian and he goes, oh shit, that's fucking awesome. Did you know they made it into a book? And I was like,
they did. And from what I remember,
movie into a book.
No, because I remember
the book is a novelization.
Because we watched the movie and read the book in school.
I know.
They didn't come out simultaneously.
But I don't remember what it's about. They
didn't watch this movie and then say, ooh, you know what? This movie would be a great book. Nobody does that.
All I know is the kid goes inside of a peach, meets a grasshopper, and at one point it rolls down the hill. I don't know anything else.
I don't know anything about it at all.
Based on that is what I'm writing the movie about.
It sounds like
we're going to have to watch it.
It's about cunnilingus or something.
Yeah.
It does sound like
Maybe
that.
I should make it a porno, James and the Giant. I'm going to make a BBW porno.
Yeah. The Juicy Peach.
Have you seen a video, the videos of those where it's like the largest woman they could possibly find and the smallest guy they could possibly find?
No.
Frank, you watch weird porn. It's a reoccurring thing.
It's like I have friends send me links to these things, and it's just like a guy, and you just see like his arms and legs stuck out from underneath somebody.
It's fantastic.
Wow.
So James and Giant Peach is an upcoming episode. We got the Christmas Spectacular. That's going to be another thing that we're doing next couple weeks. And oh my God, we're doing a live show in Hartford, Connecticut at the Elbow Room, January 22nd. Katie, is that right?
Yes, Saturday, January 22nd at the Elbow Room in West Hartford. We'll get the links up there by the time this episode is released, so you can visit wickedfunnypodcast.com to get tickets. We're going to be doing, basically, Brian and I had a wild show a couple weeks ago together, and we ended up like doing some of the bits that we used to do on our live podcast shows, and they were so fun that Brian and I were like, let's fucking do this again.
So it's gonna be great.
We're gonna read live creepy corners. We're gonna look for audience participation for some of these bits. Like if you guys have creepy corners that you want us to act out or help you with, it's just gonna be fun, and you guys should go.
And that's it. And make sure you go to the Patreon, patreon.com/wickedfunnypodcast, wickedfunnypodcast.com. And hey, we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening, everybody. Tell a friend to listen to us. And tell your alcoholic friends this is a great episode.
Tell your alcoholic friends this is a good episode to listen to. Yeah. Even if they're functioning or they've calculated that maybe they're not alcoholics, but they just want to live the recovery lifestyle like Frank's doing.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna open with now. All right,
I know.
I just converted to sobriety, and you'll get a bigger fucking clap.
Yeah, but that's like
yeah. You gotta do it, Frank. Welcome to the world of hack, baby.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Have a good night. We'll see you. Bye. Love you. Bye.
Love you.
Bye.